Hello, lovely people. Welcome back, where we are continuing with this question. Now I've got my tools where I can draw this pie chart accurately. So let's get out the tools. Let's get out this. And, I was not meant to do that. I'm supposed to be moving this protractor over onto here. That fits quite nicely, actually. Wow. Okay. It's not properly on. Okay, there we go. That's quite nice. And I'm now going to use this to draw my pie charts. So my first one, which was A grade, I guess, is 10, which is 80 degrees. So I really ought to turn this, I guess. Yeah. So that 0 is here, so you can actually see how this should work. So 0, and I'm going to go 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 degrees, which is over here. That is all good. Now I'm just going to draw my straight line. So use the straight line tool. And that's my first one that I'm going to draw. Went a bit over. In fact, let me try this again so that it doesn't go over. Oh, let's go one more time. Third time lucky, maybe. Ooh. Okay, it was a bit off, but you know what? It's fine. We'll go like that. Next, I'm going to keep rotating this. So let's put the protractor again at the center. That's good. Going to go again. 0 is about there. And then I'm going to go 120 degrees this time. So this time I go 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 120, which is all the way up here, down in the bottom corner, if you can see. And I'm just going to move this out the way. And then I'm going to draw that. Wow, that was not from the center, was it? Let's actually try and... Oh, okay, this is a bit better, I guess. So it's there. Let me just mark this as I'm going so that I don't get lost. So A is here. B is over here. So that's 80 and 120. Next, we've got to do 104 degrees. Okay. So let's go back to putting this in the center. It's okay. Turn it so that 0 again is over here. And then we're going to try and go for... oh, no, I was not meant to do that. Trying to go for 104 degrees now. So all the way up to 90, 100, 104. So 95, 100, 104. That's about here. No, it's in between. There. Okay, and then just going to move this out the way. And then I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to draw my 104 degrees. And that's going to be for the C category. So that's for C. And then I'm going to do 40 degrees. So move that across. So I suppose I can move the protractor like that. I'm going to go 10, 20, 30, 40, which is over here. And then draw that one. Oh, dear. And then draw that one in with my straight line. Oof. So that one's going to be 40, which is D. And then the last one by default would have to be 16 degrees, which would be E. And that's it for this question. That's the full pie chart drawn. Let's go on to the next part of the question. So, next part of the question, just the next question, period. Timothy asks 30 people how long it takes them to get to school. The table shows some information about his results. It says work out an estimate for the mean taken. Okay, let's do this. All right, so we've got, I don't want to do that. Okay, so we need, for these kinds of questions, we should be considering the midpoints. So column for the midpoints. And then we should also consider a column for frequency times midpoint. So frequency times midpoint. midpoint. Okay, so let's go across, with that one straight line. Yeah, let's keep the others straight. Okay, so the midpoint of this interval here, 0 to 10, that's going to be 5. The midpoint for the next one is 15. The midpoint for the next one is 25. The midpoint for the next one is 35. And the midpoint for the next one is 45. Okay, so now we do frequency times midpoint. So 2 times 15, which is, 2 times 5 rather, which is 10. Next one is 8 times 15, which is 120. Next one is 12 times 25. That's going to be 300. Yeah, 12 times 5 is 60 times 5 again is 300. 7 times 35 is 7 times 7, 49, 245, I want to say. Let me just make sure, let me just double check that with the calculator. Yeah, 245, okay. And then the last one is 1 times 45, which is 45. Now I want the total, so I need the total frequency. And I also need the total of these frequencies times midpoint. Okay, so the total down here for frequency times midpoint, that's going to be 10 plus 120 plus 300 plus 245 plus 45. That's going to be 720. And then the frequency, the total frequency, that's going to be 2 plus 8 plus 12 plus 7 plus 1, which is 30. So the mean, or my estimate for the mean at least, is going to be 720 divided by 30. I think that's going to be 24. Let's see. 720 divided by 30. Yep, that's going to be equal to 24. So that's the estimate there for the mean. 24 minutes, that is. Okay, so next question. The 10 students from class A and 15 students from class B sit a test. The mean mark for class B is 70. The mean mark for all 25 students is 77. Work out the mean mark for class A. The way they said that, it almost seems as though it relates to this question, but this is not the same question, right? Okay, fine. The 10 students. No worries. Use of articles there, whatever. Okay, so the mean mark for the class B is 70. So, all right. Well, this is one of those questions where we can work backwards. So if we know the mean mark for class B is 70, we can work out the total number of marks attained in class B. So that means that the total marks is going to be 70 times the number of people who were in class B. So that's going to be 70 times by the 15. Okay, I think that's going to be, should be 1,050. 70 times 15. Yeah, 1,050. And then we know the mean mark for all students, for 25 students, is 77. So again, the total here is going to be 77 times by 25. So 77 times by 25, 1925. So if the total marks for all students is 1925 and the total marks for class B is 70, that means the total for class A is going to be 1925, take away 1,050. So take away 1,050. That is going to be 875. Cool beans. Then, if that's the total marks, to work out the mean marks, well, for class A, so the mean for A, that's going to be 875 divided by the 10 students in class A, which is 87.5. Quite a bit better, actually. 87.5. There we go. Next, there are 50 sweets in the jar. In a trial, a sweet is chosen at random and then it is replaced. Just making it smaller so I can see the whole question. A bit too small, maybe. Okay. So it's then replaced. The results are recorded after every 20 trials. Okay. The graph shows the relative frequency of a blue sweet. Okay, specifically a blue sweet. In the first 40 trials, 10 blue sweets were chosen. Plot this result on the graph. Okay, so if in the first 40 trials, so out of 40 sweets that could have been chosen, out of the 40 sweets that were chosen, 10 of them were blue. So 10 out of 40. So that's equal to a quarter or 0.25. So for 40, we plot 0.25, which is there. Okay. What is the best estimate from the graph of the probability of choosing a blue sweet? Well, typically with these kinds of things, the greater the number of trials, the more reliable your result is. So look at greatest number of trials. You don't need proper sentences. It's intelligible. We can understand what I mean here. So look at the greatest number of trials, or look at greatest number of trials. This gives most reliable, because it's been done the most times, it's most repeatable, most reliable results. So we have 100 multiplied by the relative frequency, 0.3. To be fair, we don't even need to do that. I was going to do this and say it's 30 and then go, 30 out of 100 is equal to 0.3. But of course it would, because that's what the definition of the relative frequency is. But actually, if you weren't aware of that, that is something new for us. But yeah, so we look at the relative frequency for that, which means that that would be our most likely probability. So our final answer is 0.3. And it says, use your answer to estimate the number of blue sweets in the jar. Okay, so it says there are 50 sweets in the jar. So we know there are 50 sweets, and we know the probability of getting a blue sweet is 0.3. So we do 50 times by 0.3. And that should give us our expected value, or the number of sweets. So 50 times 0.3 is equal to 15. So we estimate that there are about 15 sweets. Kind of makes sense, right? If the probability were higher, we'd expect there to be, if the relative frequency rather were higher, we'd expect there to be more sweets. If the relative frequency were lower, we'd expect there to be fewer sweets. Okay, let's look at this question. So 480 students attend a school. A teacher asks 50 students which color they would like the new school blazer. Estimate how many of the 480 students would like a navy blazer. Okay, so all right. So with this kind of question, it's almost like a kind of stratified sample. So we know that 50 of the students were asked what color they'd prefer. And the idea is the proportions or the fractions of people who wanted certain colors, that's going to be representative in the 480 students as well. So I'm just going to write the fractions next to each color so that we know what fraction of 480 to work out. Well, in that case, in fact, we don't need to do it for each color. We just need to do it for navy. So with navy, which I'm going to write in red, which is a bit confusing, that's 15 out of 50. That fraction of students would like navy. So we do 15 out of 50, that fraction of 480, which is the same thing as 15 out of 50 times 480. So 15 out of 50 times 480 And that's going to give us 144. So there we go. Right, that's it for this part of our little series where we go through this walkthrough. Stay tuned for the next video where we'll look at question 31, which is about this Venn diagram. Take care for now.